name is Clare Treacy and I'm the chairwoman of the National Women's Council. I'm the fish. And I'm also worked with the Nurses Union. I'm a trade unionist for many years. And on that basis, when I was asked to look at some of these images, I immediately delegated it to somebody else. That's what trade unionists do. And I asked a good friend of mine, Cherry Smith, who's a poet, to look at this image, and she wrote a short poem which I'm now going to share with you. Look at the cut of us. I don't know if you know, but we wade out to meet our men in the curraghs, to collect the catch, our skirts dragged by the current, hands foundered. We pile the fish in the creels, fingers rough with scales, hooking into gills, cold, cold work, and then back to shore, almost tumbling over in the waves. We stand all morning selling, the salt crisping our skin, our shoals dripping the sea, palms blue and cold as the coins we can't feel. We hate fish. We would never touch it. We like our food plain, stone plain. We wish we had ladies' hands, not these stiff, sore things that can hardly braid our daughters' hair. We don't bother looking nice, except for mass, and the awful shame at being stood still for that camera. This is, day in, day out, food on the table, not the stuff of pretty girls in pictures. Thank you. And just to use my other 3 minutes, I'm going to speak very briefly, as you would expect, on the Irish Women Workers Union photograph. And I suppose just to share some history with you, because when I saw this, I immediately remembered that quite recently, Brian Diarmid had made this documentary called Bread and Roses, which was about the history of the Women Workers Union. So I've taken some of her history, hopefully the important bits, and some of the humorous bits. So the Irish Women Workers Union, it was founded in turbulent years in the early 1990s. It was founded by Delia Larkin, who's the sister of Big Jim Larkin, and it existed for 70 years prior to its amalgamation with the Federated Workers Union of Ireland, which was the precursor to SIPTU. Delia Larkin, Big Jim Larkin, Countess Markovich and Hannah Sheev Skeffington met to create the union, so they were pretty big names at the time, and the union was full of very dominant and strong women. Countess Markovich, in her recruitment campaign to get women into the union, said, "We will help you to get an increase in wages, help you to get the vote, and make men of you all." She obviously meant this, I suppose, to understand that she was going to get an army of women together to fight for the rights of women, and that's exactly what they did. Countess Markovich was the first president of the Workers' Union, and most of the women at the time worked in mills, factories, laundries, and in domestic service. Helena Maloney was another prominent woman. She was an actor in the Abbey. She was a nationalist and a member of Cumann na Món. She was arrested on a number of occasions, so she did her union work in between going to jail. And a little known fact, which I think is very important, the very famous 1913 lockout, when the employers got nervous of unions, was actually instigated by 3 young women who were asked to take off their Irish Women Workers Union badge when they were working in the Jacobs factory. So I suppose looking at this picture, you'd wonder if it includes any of those 3 young women. I wish it did. Towards 1916, a significant number of the women in the union were involved in the 1916 rising, and Countess Markovich and Helena Maloney were again arrested. And Louis Bennett took over the running of the union, and she was a suffragette and a feminist and very concerned with the plight of women workers. And she recruited another prominent woman, Helen Shevnitz, and they built the union to 5,500 strong by 1918. And so this is just to get a flavour of what was happening at the time. Countess Markovich was released from jail in 1990 and was immediately appointed as Minister of Labour in the provisional Dáil. But it was clear where her sympathies still lay, because there was a local newspaper report that in 1990, as Minister for Labour, she intervened in a negotiation between Louis Bennett on behalf of the union and the employers. And following is the quotation in the newspaper: "The conference had droned on for hours. Miss Bennett was eloquent, the employer adamant, no appreciable advance had been made. Then Madame Markovic strode in, pulled out a gun, pointed it at the terrified employer. 10 minutes to settle, after that I shoot." The employer settled after 7 minutes. My time is now up, so thank you very much.